Hello and welcome, everybody.
My name is Heather,
And I'm Ryan.
and we are so excited that you are here at Confidence Through Coffee. With coffee,
Yes. Confidence.
even
Yes, yes. What are you drinking today?
water.
You are drinking water.
I'm
Oh,
drinking
sweet.
sparkling flavored water, which is kind of a cheat. And I
Yeah.
don't mean it to be, but I do need to drink more water. So I've got bottles of water here, but I get bored and then this keeps
Yeah.
me going. So whatever keeps you going, I just need to hydrate.
I get you. I get you. I'm on the
Mhm.
coffee and I also have squash.
Ah,
So yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and you know what? If you're watching this, this is our Magic of Pleasure month
it
in
is.
Confidence Through Cabaret. So join us in our community, Confidence Through Cabaret, on Facebook.
Mhm.
Check out our podcasts and vodcasts wherever you get your podcast. You can check out Confidence Through Cabaret. You can also go on our landing page, which is confidencethroughcabaret.com,
Mhm.
and then you'll be able to have access to podcast, vodcast, vlogs, blogs, articles.
And indeed, as part of this month's incredible focus, as you say, the magic on pleasure, we have two brand new workshops available. Am I correct?
You are correct, and they are workshops that I've done around move your body and feeling good in our body and feeling pleasure in our body and finding out
Mhm.
what that feeling is of. I'm going to say sexy, but that's a huge spectrum. Being
Mhm.
able to move and flow and feel good in your space, which is what we talk about all the time in Confidence Through Cabaret. It's
Mhm.
the point, right, of
Yeah.
cabaret is feeling good in our body, taking up space, using our voice,
Mm.
sharing our message.
Yeah. And
Um,
I did one of the workshops last night. I had a go for myself, as I was saying earlier, and it was like doing leg twirls and all sorts of stuff, and it was really really fun. And it's literally because my leg flexibility is dreadful, and I still had loads of fun. It was really really good. I got to just kind of play, and I did it on my bed because I don't have a huge amount of space in my room, and that was the perfect amount of space for me. So it was just like, oh great, it's so you can kind of follow along and do what you want with it really, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking about it because I had a very little bit of floor space. I moved the
Mm.
dining room table and I had a little bit of floor space, but you
Yeah,
could do it on any amount of space. Like you said, on your bed, you could do it on a sofa, a
yeah.
little tiny patch of floor. You don't need a lot of, it's not a floor work, it's not an exercise class. It's just to kind of play with some of the staples that we would use
Mm.
in a performance or in dance or in cabaret.
Yeah.
And it's just such a beautiful way of just kind of making shapes with our legs, and we do this kind of leg flow. I can't even do it with my hands, that
There we go.
it's just so much fun to be able to do that. That was the thing that really attracted me when I first started. And the other workshop is about chair, own your throne. So it's
Yeah.
about moving around a chair, it's about sitting, it's about positioning, it's about body tracing, it's about kind of sort of standing and leaning on the chair. And it's fun and it's
Yeah.
sensual and it can be fast and furious, or it can be slow and sultry or
Hmm.
whatever. So put some music on and go check it out, confidencethroughcabaret.com.
And do this for yourself as well. Make sure if you're indulging in a bit of that play, do it for you. This isn't about what somebody else thinks about how you move, or what anybody else's opinion. This is just about you enjoying that for yourself. um, and as part of our continued Magic of Pleasure Month, this week we have an incredible podcast, went live this morning, with the wonderful EFT practitioner and coach, Amanda Ferratt.
Yes.
Amanda is brilliant, and she gives this really fantastic description of EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. So for any of those who are watching in the community right now, you may have seen this before. We had Anne Diamond in the community the other week, who actually took us through a practice of EFT during our Spring Clean Challenge, which was super useful. I wanted to say fun, but it's not about fun necessarily. It was fun to go through, but it's a really useful technique to have in your arsenal. And well, shall we have a look at the clip?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay.
EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, and it is a combination of both Eastern and Western practices. So the Eastern part is that the points that you're tapping on your body are acupressure meridian points that activate various kind of systems or organs in your body. And the Western part is that it brings in talk therapy. So we're using some questions and some reflecting language back to kind of dig into the subconscious and do some healing and rewiring of the subconscious. So when we're tapping on those acupressure meridian points, what's happening is our amygdala in the brain, which is responsible for fight, flight, or freeze, calms down. Our sympathetic nervous system calms down. Our limbic system, which is in charge of our emotions, calms down. And then we're able to access our subconscious brain. Instead of being back here in primal brain, we can come up and dig deeper into our subconscious brain so we can make decisions from a clearer space. We can tap into old memories, thoughts, patterns of thinking, beliefs, trauma, old wounds, and start to rewire and rework those and work on healing our brains. And it's also a great tool for moving from one emotional state to another. So if you're anxious, depressed, feeling grief, even anger or frustration, you can move from that emotional state, vent it out, work it out, and kind of move yourself into a different place.
So I really love that description. It's a really concise, idea and a full brief of what EFT means. And as you know, I didn't quite understand EFT when we first got into this. So if any of you are like me and coming into this for the first time, you may have had a different appreciation of what EFT means or how it could be practiced. What was your exposure to EFT, Heather?
Yeah, so I came across it. A practitioner was taking one of my clients through it. They were both public health professionals,
Right.
and my client had a toothache.
Right.
And she was feeling like just so run down in her whole body from this toothache. And that was caused, of course, by an infection. And an infection here means it affects your whole body and where the energy needs to flow to. And but what the EFT practitioner was taking her through was the idea of not storing that pain. And we store pain in our body, whether that's emotional pain or, or whether that's actually something that's physical. It was about releasing that pain so that when the infection healed, that wouldn't be carried through. And I know for a fact, because I was in a car accident about 18 months ago, and I had neck and spine injuries. I know that I carry a certain amount of tension in those areas. It's small, but it's there, and it's a protective thing because it caused pain and injury and immobility for a while. I know that I carry things just ever so slightly more cautiously. And so the idea when I first came across EFT was about like letting those things heal and releasing that, because we otherwise we'll store it. So I love Amanda's definition and the way that she explains it. I also love the way that it made me feel going through the sample that Amanda took us through. It was just beautiful to really kind of go back into that calm resting state.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
I think you can't experience magical pleasure and feel good in your body and mind if you're like, ugh.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we were sort of talking about this in the lead up, and that the idea of EFT being something that incorporates that that element of pleasure as well as through magic. When we talk about magic here, what we're referring to is the technique itself, because it's grounded, as Amanda says, it's grounded in Eastern technique and science and philosophy as much as it is grounded in Western techniques of talking therapy and things like that.
NLP.
Yeah, exactly. Those techniques combined have a really interesting way of allowing your body to kind of release all that pain, all that trauma, and access things that are can be really deeply rooted into our psyche. So it allows you to really get into the subconscious and kind of get into the meat of things, which is really interesting, really interesting. And we also get to hear all about Amanda's really interesting journey through life. We get to hear about all of the processes that she's been through, the different techniques she brings into her coaching practice, like visualization techniques, centering around things like crystal work and things like that. It's really interesting. It's a kind of a multifaceted set of practices that Amanda includes. It's a really fascinating interview. I love Amanda. I think she's great. I think her everything she said in this podcast was really, really interesting.
Yeah, I think, I mean, by all means, Amanda tells us about her own Facebook group, which has Tapping Tuesdays. So
yes,
you can continue on with your practice. I think the interesting thing for me was when Amanda's talking in this podcast about the table legs and how she slowly takes out one table leg at a time. And immediately I had a physical response of, if you take away a table leg, it will fall over. And I've talked about this in lots of podcasts now of, don't take away my tension, because that's the thing that holds me upright.
Yes, of course, yeah.
And so she talks about, there might be 7 or 8 table legs on your table, and we just slowly, take away each one of them and then gently bring us back down. And I think, that was such a good analogy for me of, kind of, okay, so it doesn't destabilize the table. The other legs I guess it's a bit like Jenga, when you take out one of the bricks, the whole thing restabilizes. And I was picturing that it was just going to be knocked over. But it's that
makes
kind of thing
sense.
of, just taking out some of the ones that are, slowly opening up possibilities. So some of the ones that are a little bit looser, a little bit more accessible, and then working into some of the bigger things. And I think if you listen to this podcast, then Amanda will take us through an example, and we did that together. I felt so good afterwards.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I think that the thing about Amanda is that she shares her own journey about her own limitations and her own feelings about, how she felt before she came to EFT and after, and how that affects her practice. But she also talks about, some of the really simple things, like just being able to calm ourselves by tapping on the side of our thumb here, or tapping on the nail bed with our thumb.
Oh, she gives a really great like top tip about when you're kind of overcome with emotion, especially like if you're about to cry, or if you're feeling like that. She gives a great little sample technique that you can use to kind of help quiet and gain control of that emotional situation.
Yeah, so really practical, really inspiring, really fun and accessible podcast guest. And it was just such a pleasure to host Amanda. So do go check it out anywhere where you get your podcast, Confidence Through Cabaret. Go check out confidencethroughcabaret.com. It will also be up on our landing page. So that's a load of free content. I'm about to have a dog climb onto my lap. So I'm sitting here okay, that was always going to happen one day. So this is Chase.
Cameo by Chase.
Chase is new. Chase is new. 2 weeks with us from a rescue center in Cyprus. So we're just learning what the rules are and so on. You're thoroughly enjoying this, but I am too. It's lovely. It's lovely. Yeah. But I would say, when we talk about magic pleasure, this isn't magic as in look what happened, it's gone. The pain is gone. All the things are available to you. It's it's hard work.
Is that transformative power of pleasure, and how that can change us and take us into a space of possibility, and how the magic of our own processes can also do that. That we talk a lot about the way in which we sort of can perceive and take control back from different things, and I think that's what this month is often really about. It's about taking those transformational things, those tools, those techniques, those tips, and applying them so that we can get that transformational energy out there.
Yeah, and I just want to say, and I'll probably say this a few times in our Facebook community as well this month, is, you know, what we often compare ourselves to other people's journeys, and
Yeah.
it really is around your own pleasure. And
Mhm.
what we forget when we're comparing ourselves to others is that that magician who made it look really easy
Yeah.
tirelessly to
Mhm.
do that,
Yeah.
you know. So magic doesn't just happen, even for a magician.
Yeah,
Buy a
absolutely.
magic trick and look, it works.
Yeah,
You
fully.
work on it. And that's what we're talking about with our Magic of Pleasure. So join us here each week for this month. We'll be sharing different techniques and approaches, and we'll be sharing with you in our community, uh, you know, the magic of pleasure through cabaret.
Mhm.
We'll be sharing on our website the magic of pleasure through our workshops,
Mm.
and through, you know, feeling it in your own body and moving to your own kind of music.
Yeah.
And we'll be sharing it on all of our socials, so check us out anywhere where you get your social media, Confidence Through Cabaret, with the exception of Twitter, which is at YBYWYS. I'm also on Clubhouse. I'm there at least once a week, and I am at Heather YBYWYS. We have a brand new club with 100 beautiful, bright, shiny members, which is called Confidence and Attitudes. So do follow us or join us there as a member. And the letters, what do they stand for, Ryan?
Well, I'm glad you asked. They stand for your body,
Your
your
body,
world,
your world,
your stage.
your stage. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We'll see you again soon. Bye.